happy bee if you've worked your entire life making honey, and then someone comes in and just nabs your honey, Betty.
I mean,
it's just not fair.
Depends on your perspective, because it could be interpreted as someone is enjoying my honey so much that they keep coming back.
But they're not paying you for it.
Well, they don't understand the concept of money. Again, we need to talk about this level
the concept of
sentiment.
honey, Betty.
Yeah.
If someone stole my honey and gave me something sweeter in return, I'd be a very happy bee.
Okay.
We're killing the plants. That's what bees like, Medius.
Fortunately, Medic,
the plants are dying.
Bees haven't conformed to capitalism just yet. We do have a game on our hands. Let's jump into the draft.
How
Rogue
many
have got their
movie
hands.
quotes do you think we can get into this?
I'm hoping none. 0-0. Orianna has been locked in for Rogue. Quite a powerful champion and quite a statement being made by G2 right now. This champion considered by many to be the strongest mid laner on the patch. She wins pretty much every single matchup that there is to win. A Karma answer, of course, a massive flex paired up alongside the Rel means that G2 keeping their cards close to their chest. Rogue making it very apparent what their game plan is. Team fighting is the name of the game, a scaling weak side, bot side. You imagine some sort of engaged tank. Something like a Xin Zhao, potentially a Jarvan could go alongside this Orianna, because it is very much about these team fights for Rogue. Yesterday we saw them not finding that level of proactiveness, but they need to find it today against G2 to stand a chance of qualifying from the top 8.
Now, Betty, according to all known laws of aviation, there's no way Smolder should be able to fly.
Oh my goodness.
Its wings are just too small and its fat little body can't get off the ground. Smolder, of course, flies anyway and tends to win games and get pentas.
That's true. That's probably why G2 locked it in.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see how it does in the hands of Hans. Now, likely bans coming out from G2. You imagine jungle is the role that's going to be targeted. They can, of course, counter-pick top. The Rel can be flexed into both jungle and support, depending on what they're feeling. Oh, let's say that. They're actually looking at top lane.
I mean, we do often see Kled banned away from Finn just to try and stop him having one of his really comfort picks, because that's often where people look when they're in dire straits.
Dire straits, great point. Backs against the wall, you lean on the champion that you trust.
Right, his name was Blomster Finn and he was a Kled one trick. That's
true.
How he came up through the regional leagues all that time ago. That was kind of more through Challenger.
Now, if they really wanted to make him uncomfortable, they'd ban Aurelion next. Not that I expect that, but that's really a screw you, Finn.
Instead, Braum taken away by Rogue does make sense. Obviously, the Karma and the Rel can both flex to support. We don't see too much support Karma these days, but Rel still very viable down towards that bottom. I mean, not the best into Senna Nautilus, though. You will struggle a little bit in that lane.
Relatively low damage comp so far from G2.
Yeah, relatively.
Relatively, indeed. Let's see if they can heat up this draft a little more. Smolder, they've already locked in. Dragon, breathes fire. Lee Sin, banned away. Rogue, imagine, gonna ban away support next with the Braum already taken away. I'm actually not entirely sure what they'll ban here. Like, what do you go for? Maybe a Renata, but Smolder Renata, probably not. Maybe the Lulu? No. Okay, yeah, Jax. That makes sense. Actually take away jungle, because they probably look at the support pool and they say, no, there's probably not actually that much that's scary that we're worried about. Question is, what will G2 actually do? Will they show their cards here, or will they lock in top early?
Show their cards, I get what you say. It's Twisted Fate. Is that what you're implying here? No, instead it's the Ivern.
Cards have been shown. So that Rel is going into support, unless they've cooked up some Rel top lane that I don't know about.
I think leaving top lane for counter-pick last here makes the most sense.
Yeah.
You don't really need a tank like the Rek'Sai we saw yesterday. Instead, you can just look for something a bit more aggressive for Broken Blade.
There's the Xin. Makes a lot of sense. Volibear also fine. Basically, you just want something that can go in. Any form of engage works. I think the Jarvan also would have been a fine option. And the question is, how are they going to round things out? Aatrox going to keep it nice and safe. With Jax banned away, one of the potential counter picks also makes sense. Now, Broken Blade, what have you been cooking? Are you going to show us the tank Rek'Sai again? I don't think they need it. I agree with you. I want to see a little more damage from them.
Yeah, I agree.
A bit more damage threat. They could consider a Renekton if they want some early game power.
Not that Karma doesn't do damage, because she does with Metal.
Oh, she definitely does.
She still can chip away at you, but having a bit of extra damage there makes a lot of sense. Rek'Sai does also do damage.
So this is very much about Smolder.
Yeah.
This is to protect the Smolder. Now, the good news for G2 is for anyone that's ever looked at a post-game like damage dealt thing on Smolder, you'll see that 33% of his damage is physical, 33% is magic, and actually that's not quite true. It's more like 50% physical, 30% magic, and then about 20% true. Yeah.
I love looking at that. Just a big white ring that killed me.
He's really hard to itemize against, especially given the, usually when you round out your build, you're looking at things like Leandries as well to just add to the burn that comes with his passive. But as you can see, this is very much a protect the Smolder composition, and as Medic mentioned, Caps will be able to do damage, but in terms of consistent damage, that's not really what Karma does. She's a lot more about poking, chipping away at you, and being able to provide that additional utility. Rogue have very much a wombo combo traditional team fight style. We kind of look at priorities. I imagine that Finn should be able to get some control over that top side of the map early, because Rek'Sai doesn't necessarily have a lot of power in those early laning phases. Karma versus Orianna is going to be a constant trade back and forth, where you imagine Orianna should be able to get that early push, whereas in the bot side of the map, you imagine Rogue and Comp will have that control. I'm anticipating a slow early game, Medic, but it's G2, so you never really know.
Yeah, last time we had a Smolder in a bot lane, he got 2 kills at minute 3.
That's true.
So it's very possible that happens again this game. I doubt it, but it's very possible, Betty. So we get on into this do-or-die game for Rogue. If they lose this, they are out of playoffs contention for Spring, just as they were out of playoffs contention for Winter.
I see 5 players in mid lane. G2, what's the plan?
Stand around mid, Betty. Look for flowers. Anything I can pollinate here? Anything I can pollinate? That's what Hans Summer's thinking.
How many B quotes have you looked at?
That's not a B quote. That's just me making it. I just riff on the bees, you know? I'm like Ivan, a friend of the forest. I riff on the bees.
I see. You've never sounded more like a... How's it hanging, kids? I'm getting a lot of boomer energy from you right now.
This game is the B movie, but every time there's a team fight, we talk quicker.
Yeah. That's a good one.
That's like 10 years old, that meme now as well. It must be around that, right? That's pre-COVID.
Which team is that? Oh, I missed it.
I think it's G2, Vetty.
I don't think that was a G2 flag.
No, it's... Oh, you were talking about the icon. I thought you were just confused for a second.
Okay, I might be getting on. I'm not that old.
All right, so jungle is starting. Marcoon on the top side of the map. Yike will...
Didn't you tell me, Medic, about this insanely fast new Ivern clear?
Oh, yeah. So there is an insanely fast new Ivern clear that you can do in like 2:48, I want to say.
Isn't it just like theoretical? Right?
No, you can do it, but it's very dependent on you hitting your Q max range onto a small wolf. And Yike is not doing it here.
Okay,
so we're not going to talk about it. What he'll do is he'll set up his bot side. He'll then go across to his top side. He did use the blast. Oh, no, he hasn't used the blast gun. Just used his root core to get across. So we will look for the Ivern tech. The one bit of technology that Ivern players can do, Vedius. And they love this bit of technology. But all it consists of is right-clicking, pressing Q, and right-clicking again, and then pressing Q again. Yeah. That's all it does. It's not mechanically interesting, but it's great to watch. So what he does is he sets up his Razor Beak, sets up his red. He'll take his... Wolves and blue, hopefully,
here we go.
Very quickly. No, he's not doing it.
He's not doing it.
So what you would usually do is you would path down to this blast. Oh, well, never mind.
Nice hook
Engage happens in the bot lane as the hook goes down. So you path down to the blast cone. You Q the blue buff, right? And then you use the blast cone to take yourself over to the wolves, pick up the wolves, press Q again, go to the blue buff, Bob's your uncle. You're able to get all 3 camps. Marcoon is invading here. Yike's already level 3. Yike cleared his entire jungle, so now he's just going to cover a possible bot lane dive. We saw BDS look for these dives game 1, or last game. Didn't go too well. Level 2 just hit by Hans Summer as he flaps his way away. Hans Summer will fall for first blood, answering kill as Yike gets it.
I mean, that's how it's done, for the record. That was a nice dive from Rogue. Like,
Hans Summer has TP, though, Vetty.
True. That's a flash in from Mickey.
Yeah, Comp does have flashes, use the heal. There's the Shattering Strike for the stun. Follow-up continuing as Mickey falls lower. Mickey's just dying. Mickey? He's like a bee, Betty. You get 1 sting and then you're done. He did the sting with the Shattering Strike and then he just yanked it out and died.
I am baffled. I'm not sure what threat Mickey thought he was under.
You're befuddled.
You're having way too much fun, Medic. So this is a nice dive, because the goal here is, you're right that he does have TP, but you kill the Smolder, deny as much farming experience as possible. Hans runs into the wall, but then snaps back to reality. Oh, there goes Gravity as he goes back to base. But now the question mark comes from this flash here from Mickey. knocks him back.
He still has heal and...
But the wave is just so big. I feel like that in every situation, Hans really just wants to catch this wave.
Yep.
So big question marks for me. Not sure why he decided to force that. Rogue get themselves another kill.
Hans a big surfer. He loves catching waves. Zoe at least looking for the hook here. Lands it onto Mickey, who can just Pheromancy crash down away. Flash, last embrace, and Mickey has no flash to get away. Marcoon's gonna flash. There's the stun. Oh, Mickey. 0-2-1.
Why is it that versus G2, Rogue looks like the most proactive team in the league?
Because when G2 play against Rogue, they're the most in team in the league, ready? Like, all credit to Rogue. The tower dive initially was good.
It was
Mickey
great.
then flashing forward after that was diabolical, Betty.
Question mark.
And then that for Mickey also wasn't the finest play I've ever seen displayed on
Well,
our
I mean, in that
streams.
situation, there wasn't much he could do because, to Rogue's credit, the wave was pushing in.
Yeah.
G2 has to kind of overextend, and you're kind of reliant on Yike there to be able to provide that cover. He's not there, which means that Rogue find a good gank. They get another punish. Now they find themselves at 3-1, a 1k gold lead over G2, absolutely massive for them. Remember that they are playing very much a team fight composition. One of the big scaling elements is going to be Comp, who he is going for the support center build. They're threatening another dive again. Hans does have the flash, but Yike is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, Yike's on the top side of the map. He was covering Broken Blade. Zoelise waiting before this auto comes down, looking for it. Onto Hans. Summer gets stunned with a Shadowing Strike, then Dredge lines his way away. No one tanking, apart from Marcoon, who goes down to half HP. Hans Summer took a little bit of
really gross that Hans can just eat into a wall and be like, can't touch me, can't touch me. And
just grow wings. It's an evolutionary disadvantage for you that you don't have wings.
That's correct. That is a factual statement.
Although I think if humans had wings, none of us would fly that much. Because I think it uses a lot of energy. And like, we don't run everywhere. We wouldn't fly everywhere, you know?
That is a thought-provoking question, Medic. You should bring it up on a podcast sometime. Anyway.
Mickey going in. Marcoon looking for the flank. Dredge line away. There's the sun with the Shadowing Strike. Zoe Elise knocked up with the Pheromancy, but gets the shield. And Mickey's gone in once again. Zoe Elise gets one. Answered by a kill from Mickey.
Support for
trading.
support, yeah. Obviously, both teams would love their AD carries to be picking up those kills, but still, a trade nonetheless. Caps and Larson continuing to trade in mid. Top lane, Broken Blade is winning this matchup. Honestly, not what I was expecting, but obviously Aatrox in those early levels, not the strongest.
You did see the amount of healing that Rek'Sai just does.
Oh no, I definitely understand that. Yeah, I was tracking it yesterday. There was one fight where he just healed 930 HP.
Pretty disgusting when you get the Spirit Massage. But we'll see this again. Mickey Hex flashes the wall, the follow-up's there. You've got so much CC for Zoelise. He never really has a way to escape, even with the Dredge line. As you said, unfortunate that neither Comp nor Hans Summer got those kills.
Ignite tick that even took it as well. I thought the Volibear was going to get it initially. But here's the trading pattern that Medic was just talking about. Burrow, heal, heal, heal. That's 47, 47, 47. So that's just short of like 150, something like 140, something.
140.
No, 130 something.
Yeah, 141, I think, but close enough. G2 are in a bit of a hole here, about 700 gold behind. They do have Smolder, though, 47 stacks. They have a lot of ways to support him throughout the game. Comp at 26 stacks himself. Mickey looking for the stun here once again, as Zoelise is just forced under the tower. Obviously, Nort being here by himself isn't the end of the world. Zoelise can just farm. And Rogue can come along and pick up those Absolution fragments as the game goes on. Broken Blade has set himself up a nice little tunnel network here.
He does. Now, as a reminder, G2 have, of course, locked playoffs right now. Their fight is for the top two. For Rogue, even if they win both their games, their qualification is not in their hands.
So even if they get the next two games, I think they can still lock out in 18% of scenarios.
Right.
So still a possibility that Rogue going 3-6, which would be the end result, doesn't get them into playoffs.
So it's a tricky road.
It's a tricky road, a rocky rogue so far.
That was not as good.
No, that was, I mean, I don't really know where I was going with that one, Betty. What I need to do is once again find B-movie quotes.
To bring it back, you think that'll save it?
I think people are loving it.
Are they?
I'm going to close my DMs after this, I think for now. People are enjoying it.
I mean, right now, Rogue is looking good. Want to see them continue this proactivity. Marcoon. I mean, I didn't mention it during the draft, but Marcoon, when he debuted onto the league, it was Volibear with Nukta that he was diving that mid tower against G2, actually, I believe. So if anything, he's back at home, you know, returning back to those glory days. Let's see how things pan out here as a dive is ensuing.
Shadowing strike, Mom gets caught as Comp just falls. Tries to get the Dawning Shadow out, but it doesn't do much. So Elise now has to flash as well, and the chase continues. Marcoon and Larson coming in for a bit of a Barney. Depth charge down onto Mickey. We'll get the lock-up Shockwave as well to follow. And Mickey once again does fall down. Reincarnation, he keeps coming back as a bee and keeps just trying to sting the enemy.
So the trick to stopping a dive is to fight before they dive. Yeah. I mean, credit to G2, they forced that play just ahead of Rogue setting up for the dive onto the tower. Keep your eyes on the positioning of Larson. He's making his way across. The communication is coming through from G2, and they say, let's just go on to Comp.
It's actually really smart from the bush as well.
Really nice play. He is not expecting that to happen.
TP into the mid lane. Comp trying to get away from Caps here. Larson joining the party as Mickey and Yike will fight a little bit as well. And should focus resolved. Has to be flashed away by Larson. Mickey going back in. I think a root call there.
Yes.
Accidentally right-click.
Mickey was gliding.
With an Ivan.
Yep, looking to get a bit of deeper vision now. Pings back towards bot. Observers, if we could have a look at that bot wave, I'd love to see the current state for Hansama because he was pinging it.
Pushing.
Okay.
Towards him. There's a cannon minion on the other side, so now he's going to like try and.
No, he's just going to shove that one out by the looks of, well, last hit.
Yeah, he will push it out.
But Rek'Sai just doing Rek'Sai things. Here comes Yike.
I'm borrowing. Marcoon's going to join the fray as Yike locked up for the moment. Does still have the flash and will burn it to escape. Marcoon used his as well in the battle. Broken Blade trades in once again, and then we'll just take a quick trip to the underground. Wimbledon free.
Do you remember old Rek'Sai top with the farm alarm?
Yeah, farm alarm. That was such a broken ability. I'll just go out and just, instantly be back in lane. Free teleport for my top.
I read this one Reddit comment where, like, they were kind of being mean, but it made me realize something. Where they were like,
mean on Reddit?
I know, but basically they said this pro player was something like 10 when the original Rek'Sai released.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just one of those things where I was like, wait, at what point are certain champions released where they're like, there are going to be people playing today that had no idea, like, these champions came out before they, you know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying. Firstly, we're assuming the league lasts another 8 years or so, which obviously would be great for us.
Would be great.
But yeah, at a point, we'll have players who the champion came out before they were born.
Yeah.
So I was there in the good old days when you could stack Black Cleavers and Hecarim broke the game on release. Remember that for like 3 weeks you couldn't play League? Because if you tried to load into a game and a Hecarim was in it, it would just crash.
Oh, it's another dive bot lane.
That it is. They're setting it up, 4-man stack. Depth charge onto Mickey. TP behind as Rek'Sai's looking to join this fight, but already Mickey and Hansama are deleted. A double. Broken Blade going in with a flash knock-up. Larson not tanking the tower as of yet. The charge forward by the Rek'Sai as Broken Blade falls low. He tries the bow, gets a knock of the shield, not enough. Trigger Seed won't save him now, and Caps can't kill off Zoelise, but Daisy maybe can. Daisy killed off. A final breath looking for that final order once Zoelise couldn't find it, and Rogue find a perfect dive in the bot lane.
Where has this Rogue been all split? Like, what a great play on the bot side. They are consistently diving Hans and Mickey. The ultimate is used by Hans to try and clear out the wave as much as possible. But look at this, he's barely given an opportunity to move. The shockwave from Larson was clutch. Broken Blade with a nice 3-person knockup. Isn't enough. The ulti comes through from Comp to keep his mid laner alive. And Caps just doesn't have the damage. This comes back to what we were talking about. So much of their damage is on Hansama. And while Caps does have decent poke, especially at this situation, he doesn't have anything to clean up the fight. You've also got an Ivan. It's a very low damage comp from G2, and Rogue are doing exactly what they need to shut the damage down at its source.
Only 1,000 gold lead for them. Drake up though. Marcoon will start it up.
Look at Marcoon, 4-0-4, 100% kill participation. All of the action has been bot lane.
Yeah. And this is like how you shut down a Smolder, right? This is how you can put him behind. I will say Comp still only at 56 stacks on the center. Obviously, will scale up as he starts to go around through the jungle.
He's also a little low.
Yeah, neither of them are like as peak as you'd like them to be. But Comp now will just follow Marcoon through the jungle, pick up as many of these Absolution fragments as possible. Larson's going to get some damage on this mid lane tower as plates fall off in about 20 seconds. Rogue don't want to over-invest into this bot side. I They have spotted Yikes, so they know that this blue buff is relatively free. Actually, looks like Comp isn't going to stay around for the stacks. He decides, oh, perhaps I shall. No wave in the bot lane means no stacks for him to gain there. Gets one from the blue buff, gets a blue buff as well. Nice little extra reward. Then we'll get one from the Scuttle Crab, then can path down towards bot. Just try and stack up as many of those Absolution fragments as possible. Every 20 is the break mark. So, 20, 40, 60. I went to maths as a child. And
I thought you were starting a song. 20, 40, 60, 80.
According to all laws of thermodynamics, bees can't fly.
You're in a weird mood today, Medic. It's just because you're in love with League of Legends.
Yeah.
The feeling I'm getting.
Yep. And the B movie.
And the B.
Two of my great loves in my life.
Have you actually seen it?
I've seen it really sped up on.
I was going to say, you probably never. I've never watched the actual movie.
Pick it up, Comp. Good man.
You were quite stressed there.
Right, the amount of times I see people
really
just leave
personal.
it. Well, just take it, man. You're there. You're getting the Absolution anyway, and then you started to walk away, and I was like, come on. Because Rogue are in a good position to win this game, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're farming well. They're ahead in gold. They're unlocking mid. They have 2 Drakes. So for Comp not to pick up the Rift Herald would have just been like, why? Obviously, it's Rogue against G2 as Summer is hooked. Summer tried to TP away! He tried to TP away! Just use your wings, man! That's what they're there for!
Oh! We need Kobe on the cast right now, because that TP for sure sucks. Like, oh, man. We need a pro view of that. What happened, Hans? What happened?
I can tell you what happened. He hovered over the tower and then pressed his teleport key, Betty.
I mean...
Didn't go well for him.
But did he misclick? Did he try to flash? Like...
I mean, you got to think it's a fat finger trying to hit that flash. He's got it
yes,
on D, which is an error.
No, it's not. Okay, just to clarify, no, it's not. He tried to flash away.
Agreed to disobey.
And he must have hit TP. He must have.
Yep. And that is
rather unfortunate for Hans.
It really is. I will bring attention to Comp's build as well. He's gone Serpent Spang Rush on the center, which often I would say isn't great, but it's not even an Karma you're playing against.
Rel as well.
Yep, doing more damage if the enemy has been recently shielded. So.
Can I check?
Yeah, have a look at it.
Let me see if I can see how much shielding it actually removes. Shielding reduced 0 so far, but he has just bought it.
I will also say, quite possible the tooltip is bugged with spectator mode or something.
Perhaps.
Because I think he's had it for a while because he also has a Zeal.
I can check.
Wait, you go back and see how quickly he's bought it. We'll see if those tooltips do line up in spectator mode with what it actually is overall.
You're right.
Maybe he just hasn't. He has auto attacked people recently, but maybe he hasn't auto attacked anyone that was shielded recently.
Perhaps.
We will see.
I'll keep track.
For now, though, I like it as an item because it's good against shields, and there are a lot of shields on G2. So often we see pros kind of fit into a cookie cutter build path on some of the champions. Here, Comp realizing the enemy composition has a lot of one type of utility, effective HP, and is trying to mitigate some of it at least. A 2,000 gold lead for Rogue. Drake up in a minute 20. They're trying to unlock this bot lane tower. Zoelite and Markoon stepping forward, and Caps, Mickey, and Yike have to give them the time of day, have to respect it. Hansama still only at 133 stacks, while Comp is cresting over towards that 80 mark, currently sitting at 74. Broken Blade did win out top, but it doesn't really matter too much as another hook connects and Caps is pulled back. The depth charge knocks him up, and Comp knocks him down like pins in front of a bowling ball. Rogue continue to find these picks.
Zoelite, he's on fire today. Been connecting some incredible hooks. Broken Blade does cross map on the top side of the map, but Rogue, man, they are really, I mean, G2 do have a bit of a reputation to losing to teams that they are definitely not supposed to lose against.
2 months and 8 days ago, Betty, guess who they lost to?
RGE.
No, 2 months. What is your perception of time, man? You've been in Lost Ark for so long.
I've just been stuck in that world for so long. I'm reminded all the time.
They lost to Rogue.
Oh, true. They did lose to Rogue, yes.
One of Rogue's few wins in winter.
I mean, we look back at the combo. Hex Flash into hook. And look at the way the ball placement is. Phenomenal. Great wombo combo. Caps legit did not get to move. And now the Dragon is up for grabs for Rogue. That's going to be their 3rd on the docket.
And a Hex Soul as well. Pretty nice soul for them to have.
I mean, Rogue are smurfing. They are completely stomping on G2. Came into this game thinking, oh, it's going to be a quick one. G2 going to look to lock in their first place. And they got rogued, which does seem to be a trend in the regular season. As we mentioned, even if they do win both their games, securing a spot in playoffs is not guaranteed because it's only going to put them at 3 wins. Yeah. So there's still a lot to be determined.
If Rogue do end up losing this game, and Rogue time was a thing for a long while, because they did often lose games from this sort of position, they will be knocked out at playoffs then.
I truly find that unrealistic, but you know, I've said this before, and I've now cast for many years, and I've seen unlikely things happen to a point at which it shouldn't really be considered unlikely anymore.
And often involving G2. But usually on the other side.
You are quite
is,
right.
No matter which way this game ends up now, it's one of those unlikely things. Either Rogue somehow beat the team at the top of the standings.
Turns out that's not unlikely.
Oh, true, actually. that's the common thing now.
This is the common thing. G2 will have hyper-competitive games against the best teams in the world. The second they run into a team like this, they crumble.
Broken Blade goes in onto last, and Marcoon, Comp, and Zoalisa in the vicinity to follow up. Broken Blade, so many tunnels, he looks like a doomsday prepper, just able to escape underground at any moment. There's his food stores down there as well, some tinned food for any eventuality. But Comp and Rogue just pushing in this top lane. Already bot lane tier 1 gone, already mid lane 1 and 2 have fallen. And Rogue are doing it by the book. Take out those outer towers. There is a Baron up for them if they want it, but I really think their next objective is in 3.5 minutes time, or their next neutral at least. Set up around that Drake and look for the Hex Soul.
Broken Blade is now healing a lot.
Does it matter?
It's a great question. It was also an observation.
I mean, I agree, but I'm just, I was leading from your point. So this is what, often in casting readiness, what happens is you'll say a point, and I'll be like, oh, that develops a new point in my noggin.
Right.
And we'll go from there.
And we'll expand.
We'll extrapolate some information.
I've never done that before. Okay. Wow, thank you. That's very educational.
I didn't want to tell you this on broadcast, Eddie, but I have some feedback if you're receptive to it right now. Anyway, so yes, does it matter that Broken Blade heals a lot, right? Because if the wombo combo of Marcoon, Larson, and Zoalise kill Hansama or Caps, does it actually matter that Broken Blade survives through the fight?
It's very unlikely that it will.
Because he has some damage. Sure, Rek'Sai's base numbers are okay, pretty good. You can do some damage in the fight, and you have Karma to back you up, but Comp is already itemized into dealing with the Karma, at least to some degree. You've got healing reduction on 2 of the 5 Rogue members, with the Executioner's Calling and the Morello Nomicon. If Hansama dies, could be curtains for G2 in this game.
I mean, I think that all that needs to happen for Rogue is Hansama dies.
Okay.
I really think that that is quite simply the win condition, because I think that he's the bulk of their damage. I like Rogue's comp. I think inherently it is very simple. I love what they did in the early game. They played it very well. Nice. G2 is now looking for picks, doing what they can. They force the flash out from Finn, not the end of the world for him. Does unlock a potential Baron start. Maybe they can force the TP out from Broken Blade or Caps.
A little bit greedy from Finn in his positioning.
They've been super proactive in this early game, and I really want to see Rogue continue that form.
It's harder to be proactive in mid-game because it's not as easy to plan what position you're in.
See, because this is definitely a situation where it is very clear right now that there are 2 people bot, and I feel like that they should be forcing something on the top side.
I agree.
They should just be making their way into the enemy jungle, or they should be pushing top wave so they can threaten that top tower, but they need to be putting some type of pressure on G2 and not giving them this ability to just threaten this for free.
And I think Rogue have said, okay, our next objective is the Drake, so we are going to let you put this pressure on because we want to reset. We've invested our vision on the top side. We want to reset, get another slew of wards, and then push out through our bot side, gain vision control around the bot side. I agree with you. I think Rogue making a proactive call to say, we're going to do Baron, probably was the right call in that moment. But if you're Rogue, and you're 1 and 6, and you're playing against the team at the top of the league, and you're winning, maybe you're saying, hey guys, let's just play what we've already planned. Let's not make a shotgun call and just go for something, because to a degree, you do lose a bit of that trust in perhaps some of those quicker calls. Now they're trying to set up towards the top side of the river. They haven't really pushed in towards the bottom side of G2's jungle, which is what I would have liked to see them do as a unit to get that vision control, because with 20 seconds, they haven't actually denied G2 any of their vision on the superficial layer of this river. There's still a control ward. They still have awareness of where Rogue are moving.
I think G2 actually just moved a control. I saw they did have a deep control ward in Rogue's half of the map, which has now disappeared. Regardless,
Zoelise stretch lines away.
Bit of
Mickey looking for
trading.
that flank. But this is what you could have denied this. You could have had wards deeper into this jungle, meaning that Mickey doesn't have these flank opportunities.
I mean, right now it is Rogue still first to the objective. It's Broken Blade acting as the front line, given how tanky he is.
Now they're trying to gate G2 from entering into this portion of the river.
Go.
Broken Blade down to half. Zoelise with the death charge to knock up the shockwave. Perfection from Rogue, but they don't get the kill on Hansama. He's still full HP, and Rogue are hurting. Finn tries to get on the backline, but Hansama has hit 225, and Rogue are hitting 6 feet under. Already Comp and Finn have died. Zoelise trying to escape, but there's no tower to save him. TP away from Larson. He'll survive this fight, but will his team's chances of playoffs do the same? G2 find 3 for naught, and they'll turn their eyes towards the Dragon.
So the question is, all this early game proactiveness and pressure, was it enough to truly shut down Hansama? Level 14 Smolder, but it shouldn't be underestimated. Caps, we talked about how when you look at the whole comp, he has damage, but can he be a huge threat in the fights? I feel like he landed a massive Mantra Q onto the backline there. The initial engage from Rogue looked promising. Look at the shockwave that comes out from Larson. The ultimate from Comp as well onto the backline. Fantastic, but Hansama sidesteps it. Then Mom just rips them apart on the back. Look at that Mantra Q that connects as well. Between the two of them on the other side of the map, they just chunk 4 members of Rogue out, and it just leaves Finn isolated to deal with this G2 member, or this G2 team, I should say. Rogue, they couldn't actually win. They couldn't make their wombo combo work. And now you come back and you kind of look at this composition from Rogue. It is about landing that wombo combo. And the reality is from G2, this is a really difficult team to just kill in a single shot. And if you don't connect onto Hans, and as long as he's still alive, he will continue to dish out damage.
You can see there, 4,000 damage from him, the same from Caps. Larson, huge shockwave in the fight, but they just didn't have the follow-up. Importantly, Hansama wasn't caught in the shockwave, so still has his splash for any ensuing fights. Caps hasn't got his, nor has Yike. Comp and Zoelise have theirs.
I underestimated the durability of this G2 composition. Given the lead they had, I anticipated that Rogue could just keep forcing these fights, but I was not expecting G2 to just straight up tank that damage and then just win on the war of attrition, which is ultimately what these fights now turn into. You would think that with a center on your side, you would be able to match that level of attrition, but the reality is that with the sheer amount of support and poke that this G2 composition has, it may be a lot harder than I initially anticipated.
I mean, it's also positioning around the Drake, right? Like, G2 were able to just push up as a group and force a more orientated front-to-back fight, which Rogue do like, but they really want to poke away at Hansama, at Caps before the fight begins. And that's where Senna does thrive. She has 100 stacks now. She does have that extra range. Rapid-fire cannon as well. Not the highest DPS build, Rapid-fire cannon Serpent's Fang, but it definitely works in the situation of this game. Zoelise, though, once again, caught out a little bit. Broken Blade tanking up the tower, but he's fine. Gets out, has the tunnel built up. Very suitable for Rek'Sai, I guess, that item. 2 items on Finn as well, though. The Baron's still available, 1,000 gold between these two teams, 2.5 minutes on the next Drake. But again, like...
Hunt is level 15 right now. He's the same level as Larson and Caps.
Yeah, and 293 stacks as well. He just got to that point. Rogue, maybe their patience, not a virtue in this game, but you talked about calling it for the Baron. I don't think Hans actually had 225 when that Baron would have been a possibility. You could have forced G2 to invest a few more resources. Now it's G2's vision game as well. Look at how few wards there are from Rogue out on the map. There's a couple of control wards from G2. There's a ward behind them on the Razorbeaks. Rogues, all of their vision is on their side of the map. They have 1 ward perhaps behind the Baron pit, but they just don't have the opportunity to spot G2 as they make these rotations. And something that Rogue's comp does really well as well is find those picks. You know, if you get a shockwave, if you get Volibear jumping in, if you get Zoelise with a dredge line, that's how they got their lead. They were finding picks on Hansama, on Caps. But without vision, it's so much harder to do that.
G2 feel like a very strong wall that Rogue will have to find a way to pierce through.
Like honeycomb, you know, just really hard to
It's actually surprisingly brittle and weak. Honeycombed.
Not if you're a bee, Betty. Not if you're a bee.
In any case, Baron is up. G2 have set up Very good control around that topside river. The Rek'Sai now ticking over to level 16. Pushed out bot wave. 2 members of Rogue actually down there. Looks like Finn was just shadowing to cover a potential dive onto Larssen.
It's the threat of Caps being there again, right? Like, we already saw Finn have to burn his
you say that, but he was just spotted top after he just pushed that wave out.
Not the threat of Caps being there, but someone else could have been there. It's the threat of someone hovering. It's something like G2 have done since yesteryear, right? Where it was Perks and Wonder, it was Caps and Wonder. Just having that second man shadowing a wave in case someone oversteps, especially when you have both these TPs.
Caps trying to tick over. There it is, level 16 now secured. The Volley Bear is now kind of at a point where it's really difficult to play the game. You're kind of just a single target CC bot trying to set up maybe a ball delivery system. Here we are, the fight over the mid wave. Dragon spawning 30 seconds.
Comp, man, you've got to use your wards. He's sitting on 4 right now. Rogue, they are setting up around the mid lane Prio. They're going to get caught out as Zoelis is the first target. Depth charge, Shockwave once again, the Dawning Shadow. Marku kills one. Hansama able to dash off to the back of the fight with another dredge running to the land on the Broken Blade. He's hopping at the Void Rush, but he'll get popped afterwards. Rogue find 2. The Wombo combo finds its mark. The Dragon up in 7 seconds time, but Hansama still healthy, still has the flash, 340 stacks. Will it be enough?
Now that was a very nice Wombo combo from Rogue. They're looking for another play.
Zoelis goes in, very tanky. Execution threshold starts to tick down on him. Hansama blast cones in, looking for Markoon, who has no flash.
Finish soloing the Dragon.
The back line. As you say, who have we got in terms of flashes? Larssen Shockwave up in about 5 seconds time. Comp has a flash, though, at least only with a Hex, and G2 will give up the Drake, secured the soul for Rogue. And a small breath of life in this game for them, as well as their playoff hopes hang in the balance.
I mean, I have to give credit to Zoelis. He's had a great Nautilus game from start to finish. We're going to look back at this play. He's the one that gets engaged on the front line for Rogue. Tries to connect to Hook, does initially connect it onto a minion. Look at all this damage he's mitigating, then look at this ultimate into Shockwave, into Comp ultimate. And then the Volley Bear ulti on top of that just melts through G2. They were too grouped up for the Wombo combo. And Rogue were finally able to break through this tank front line. They managed to catch Caps, which was crucial. And then Hansama was forced to play on the back line. You can see how close these fights can really be, because it ultimately comes down to, will G2 survive that initial burst? If they can, then they can turn the fight around. If they can't, then Rogue can run over the fight.
You know, it helps with that. Seeker's arm guard for Hansama hasn't really been touched in the last couple of fights, but will keep him a little bit safer in what could be the next one. Could be the final one as well. Or basically even a 2,000 gold lead for Rogue at this point doesn't really matter much. 3.5 items for Hansama, 2.5 for Comp, 123 stacks, though it's basically another full item for him. Caps sitting at 3 as well with the Horizon Focus. I think it's going to be a Rabadon's next. Larssen has that Crypt Bloom. Rabadon's next for him as well, very likely. Staff of Flowing Water completed for Yike, though, can be very powerful in these fights. The extra movement speed you can give to your AD carry and just give them that bit of extra protection, or to, you know, whoever's on the front line, just that little bit more shielding.
Everything being funneled into Hans now. They want to get him as strong as possible, as quickly as possible. Looks like death caps are being worked on for both mid laners. 17 for Larssen. Barrett in the eyes of G2. Gonna spot out that ward, and here we go. They started off. They want to get that fight going.
Markoon stepping in. Knows the split is possibly coming to an end if they lose this fight. Zoelis looks for the dredge line. Mom is called. The Baron down to 5,000. Finn TP'd up to the top lane looking for that flank. Pops the World Ender, but he's rooted. G2 disengage.
They get the TP though, which is ultimately what they wanted from Finn. Now it becomes a lot easier for Broken Blade to put pressure on a side lane. This is what we talk about when we say the Baron Force, right? It's not always just about forcing the fight, it's about putting pressure on your opponent. And that's exactly what G2 can do, because of the amount of shielding that they have to tank the Baron damage. They get Rogue to walk in. Did they get any ultimates burnt? It doesn't look like it. Oh, they may have got the World Ender.
Yeah.
But now they can move back towards the Baron. But I think that what they ideally want to do is start putting pressure back towards the bot side of the map, because what you can do is you can drag someone from Rogue to go and answer, and then you have the TP advantage to then create a numbers advantage over towards the Baron.
Yeah, both the side lanes basically neutral right now. Markoon able to get away from the inner flame. He being rooted up there could have been his death knell. Have to remember, G2 basically have a 6th man in this game as well, with Shyvana, Smolder's mom, being called into every couple of fights. But for Rogue, every fight could be not their last of the split, because they do play tomorrow, but the last of their hopes for playoffs. Comp still stacking 130 on him now. Elder in 2.5 minutes. Baron begun.
Game. Wait, look at Finn. He is nowhere near the fight right now, and they have started off this Baron, not the fastest in the world.
He'll
but
be there quickly enough, I think. It's down to 11,000. Caps looking for their flank. Marcoon locked up. Stormbringer away. Dawning Shadow down by Comp. Mickey. CC'd for the moment. There's Mom. Ring. The dinner bell for G2. Broken Blade, though. Still just tanking everything up here. Another route going down as Finn tries to keep Caps away from the fight. Mickey down to half HP. And Rogue playing out the vision once again, but don't get much more out of it. They have forced G2, at least Mickey, to reset, and they'll reset themselves as well.
Ultimately, only a flash burn from Mickey there. Ignite was also used. Everything still up for Rogue outside of the TP. Elder spawns in 2 minutes. Getting closer and closer to being an important point. Was not expecting this game to come down to this. With the lead that Rogue had, it felt like that this was their game to lose. G2 found a single great fight around the bot side river, around that 4th dragon spawn, where they turned it around, and then it felt like it was G2's game, and then Rogue find the wombo combo that they needed, and now we're in a bit of a stalemate. This game could very easily swing either way. The Smolder continues to scale up. Deathcap finished now for Larssen. Caps still a bit off, working towards the next major completion for himself.
Comp getting the Lord Doms as well before this next fight. Very powerful. Anathemas for Marcoon. Alongside that Kenigruken in the Sundered Sky. Rogue try to set up vision up towards this top side. Have a control ward in the pit. Yike. Places a bush, puts a ward in it. Rogue will have to wait for that bush to time out or walk in there, but you don't really want to when G2 could be collapsing. Ferromancy down there by Mickey. Going to connect on anyone. That ward in the back of the pit, though, for G2 makes them sure the Rogue have not started up the Baron. Hansama still stacking up 428 now, Very. Execution threshold goes higher and higher. The more of those stacks you get, increases by 1% for every 40 stacks you have.
It's going to be the Baron Force.
It looks like
it's going to be it.
There's a control ward in the back of the pit.
Marcoon
gets it. Finn looking for that flank.
I think they have no idea. This could be an incredible flank. Finn just has to time it right. The Baron is very low.
Mickey going in. There's Daisy to join the party. Broken Blade rooted up with the last embrace. Finn shows. Caps sees him. World Ender in. Marcoon flashes forward. There's the shockwave as well as the kill off Yike. Caps chase up towards the top side as Mickey dives onto the back line, but Caps is down. And Rogue have found it. The fight they wanted this whole split. They found it. Finally, they keep their life alive in playoffs. They shut G2 out of the fight. And they look towards the mid lane. Can they end?
Another incredible team fight from Rogue. This time,
Broken Blade's going to catch the wave.
He's going to try and interrupt. He's going to delay this as much as he can. But they still have minions available to them. The TP catch from Larssen. He's going to force him back. Going to have to tunnel away to safety. Rogue have the Nexus in their eyes. Another incredible fight. Rogue, it looks like they have done it. They have taken down G2 for the 2nd time this year.
And what a time to do it. Backs against the wall. The count at 9. They still have to get through G2. Broken Blade goes in with a Void Rush. Yike here to help out, but the damage sources are not available for G2. Rogue will keep themselves alive in the playoff race with a decisive win versus G2.
Impressive stuff. Rogue, only a single fight they really lost around that bot Drake. I was concerned at that point that Hansama would really unleash, but we saw as the game went on, it became really difficult for Hansama to deal that damage. And when you get funneled into that Baron specifically, it's just easy pickings for Larssen and Zorlis to set up that one more combo. And in my opinion, huge credit to Zorlis. He was so impactful with his Nautilus in this game. Impressive stuff, Rogue. While their chances are slim, they're still fighting for a spot in the spring playoffs.